So what is the biggest challenge you think you've had in your life?
The biggest challenge I've had in my life, well, I've had several. I would say probably the longest challenge would be my divorce. I went through a divorce for 15 years.
Oof.
It actually just ended officially yesterday. So
And how do you
from
feel about
2009.
that? Wow.
You know what it is? I feel relieved. I feel like very empowered that I actually made it through. And I feel a sense of loss and sadness in a way. Not for the divorce or for the ex-husband, but for the bitterness of the fight. I feel like we could have accomplished what we did yesterday in court 10 years ago. Like there was no need for it to go all the way like it did. And it just makes me sad to know that that's the person that I married. And I think more than that, the sense of sadness and feeling like this is the person that I picked is interesting because it made me really take a long battle to figure out what it was in me that never saw that in him. I mean, and I know it's not personal, you know what I mean? Maybe there was just no way I could have known that was the type of person that he would end up being. But still, it definitely makes me like question like myself, you know, like wow, why didn't I see that? Or why didn't I know that? But I've learned from it, so I know it'll never happen again.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What's your biggest lesson there?
That is my biggest lesson. That when you see a red flag, it's a red flag. You know what I mean? And you can't change people. And you have to really stand firm in yourself and not lose yourself in someone else and not give yourself to someone else.
Yes.
That makes me feel good.
Oh, that so leads
something that makes me feel put together. Like lipstick makes you feel put together. Yeah, I need that one piece.
Yes. Well, that just so brings me to Reinvention. Look what you've created here. Have you always loved clothes? I mean, let's talk about your reinventions.
I have not always loved clothes. I grew up in Texas and I was a complete tomboy. I did 5 different sports in high school and went to college in Division I track. I really, I dressed up for church because I was a church girl, and that church fashion is a different type of fashion because it's so matchy. You know, my mom always had her gloves and her hat and then her shoes and then her, you know, her dress. Everything was completely coordinated and matched, and that's so different than New York fashion. So I didn't initially look at fashion from that way, but I always had an interest in Black models because in Texas we never had any role models that were African American. We never saw them. We didn't read about them in school. We never saw them on television. You know, they were nowhere in the media. Even at school, you know, we were never picked for homecoming queen. You know what I mean? It was just you're a Black girl, so you're a great athlete. And it was so stereotypical. And I always felt like I was so much more than that. Yeah. So when I looked in magazines like Ebony and Jet and different Black magazines, and I saw really beautiful Black women, or maybe watched TV and saw Dynasty and saw Diane Carroll. That was probably the most glamorous Black woman that was on TV on a regular basis or whatever during my age group. When I saw that, it would make me look and be wow, you know, one day I want to be like that. But I didn't aspire to it in my brain. I didn't go out and say, oh, I'm gonna dress, you know, try to dress up and do that. But I just looked at them and it was kind of you know, an admiration. And it was something that made me feel okay, I know that one day, I don't know what kind of job I'm gonna have, but I know I'm not gonna be in Texas. That's, I think, kind of what that did for me, because I knew really early on when I was young that I was not gonna be in Texas. My mother tried her best to, you know, you're gonna be a teacher, you're gonna be this. I was no, I'm not. She put me in cooking classes and I was I don't need to be in no cooking classes because I'm not gonna be cooking. Well, you need to learn how to type. That's a skill. I don't need to know how to type because I'm not gonna be a secretary. I had that vision, but it wasn't so much about the clothes. That came later once I became a model.
So now you're single, right?
I'm semi-sort of single.
Oh. Okay, so something's going on.
Well, you know what it is that now that I'm, you know, I've been divorced for a while, but, you know, and I've been dating and stuff, but I feel until I find someone that I'm 100% sure of, I mean, I'm semi sort of single.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to meet all my criteria these days.
I love
All my
And
criteria.
what is on that list?
It's a long list. Well, actually, it's really not that long. You know, it's not about looks. You know, although I feel like I try to keep myself up, so I definitely want someone, you know, who feels the same.
Yes.
I want someone that's really active, and in my age group, sometimes I feel like as older women, it's difficult to find an older man who's age appropriate that's also as active
Yes.
and vibrant as we are.
Mm-hmm.
So that is important to me. I want someone who's honest. I want someone who has their own money. I want someone who's generous. I want someone who is truthful. And I want someone who's supportive. Like, that's like a big thing for me. I didn't have that in my marriage, and I don't think I've had that in my life. So that's something that I absolutely require. Like, even if it requires you to do grunt work, if I'm, you know, doing a vintage show and I have to lug my boxes and lug my vintage clothing, then I want you to be right there with me, helping me put them, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that is like something that is important, because long term, I want someone, and this sums it up for me, I want someone when I'm old that if I need them to change my diaper, they'll change my diaper. If I need them to wipe my spit, they're going to wipe my spit. You know what I mean? Like, I want someone that loves me like that.
Nice.
It just goes beyond any physical, you know, any monetary thing. I want someone who really gets the core of me.
So you brought up your boy. He's
Yes.
now what, 24?
Yeah, my son's 24.
Well, you're gorgeous. Was
Thank
it
you.
tough to bring up a boy alone and have a sex life?
You know what? I didn't really bring a lot of different guys around my son. So in a way, yeah, in a way, no. But the couple of guys that I did date, and I actually was dating them like kind of like seriously.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a challenge. One person in particular was a challenge. And as a matter of fact, I dated a guy about 3 years ago when I was 50. I dated a guy that was 30. We were literally 20 years apart. I met him. He was like, oh, you know, I really like him. I'm like, how old are you? And he told me, and I'm like, well, I'm old enough to be your mom. I said, so we could have a summer fling. I'm like, but it wouldn't be anything serious. And he was like, okay, let's do it. Because I think, you know, we'll end up being together longer. And I said, no, it'll be a summer fling. And it was literally June when we started dating, and we stopped dating in September. My son absolutely hated him. My son was like, I see this guy on the street, I see him in the bar, and he acts like he doesn't know me. And then I come in the house and he's banging my mom. He's like, Mom, I hate him. I don't want him in the house. So I wouldn't say that my son is like the definitive factor in what I do, but because he was so adamant that he really did not like the guy, I stopped dating him.
Yeah.
I was going to stop dating him anyway, but I let my son think that it was because of him. But it was only going to be a summer
It
fling.
was summer
anyway.
fling.
It was just a summer
I
fling.
love that. Yeah. I also would like to look down. I'm going to give you a decade, and you give me an adjective that describes your sex life. 20s,
Roaring.
30s,
Sometimes depressing.
40s,
Flirty.
50s.
Fun.
That's a lot of good news.
A lot of good news.
I think. So, do you give a fuck about what people think of you?
Intellectually, no. Like, it's a double-fold thing. Like, I'm a very sensitive person, so probably deep down I do care about what people think, but I don't go out of my way to impress people. So, like, in a way, no, I really don't care what people think. I don't live my life based on what other people, you know, say about me, or, you know, what they think about me. They're not paying my bills. I'm not sleeping with them, so I don't really care. I do care deeply about people that are important in my life think about me, you know, as a respect factor, like, you know, my son, or, you know, maybe like a lover, or, you know, my parents. You know, I definitely, you know, I want my parents to be proud of me, but I don't, I no longer predicate that on like the things that I do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't do things like based on like, oh, if I don't do this, will they be proud? Or if I do this, will this make them proud? No, because I feel like I've missed a lot of.
Do you think you've settled in life? Not now, but at some point in the
definitely,
past.
100%. That's why I'm different now.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of my life settling, and that probably was me in some way thinking maybe I didn't deserve it, or maybe feeling guilty, or um, just a myriad of things, feeling guilt. And now I don't want to settle. Now, what I will say is that sometimes it's, say, in a relationship or a friendship or even a job, you may you may have to, or not even you have to, sometimes you're with people for a season or a reason. You know what I mean? So sometimes being in a relationship or having this friendship, it's serving you at that time. When it no longer serves you, then it's time to dissipate or exit it. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on like how you look at it. So there's some things that in a way you might say I've settled for, but it's a means to an end. And I know what that is. Whereas when I was young, I didn't. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, I'm just with this person and, you know, it's better than me, you know, going out and trying to date someone else. Because like as you get older, all of my friends are like, oh my God, Sheryl, you know, dating is so hard at this age. So if you find somebody, you should just, you know, you got to just stay with them. I'm like, no, honey, I'd rather be by myself with the possibility than be with someone and be unhappy. But there may be a time when you're with someone because they're serving a purpose at that time.
Exactly.
They're good for you at that moment, but you know long term they may not be. But they serve the purpose.
But I always think of you as being pretty good solo.
I'm very good solo. Yeah. But I mean, I do enjoy companionship. It's why, you know, and it is why I date, but I keep my options open.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like in friendships, I have friends, but I don't have friends that I necessarily talk to every day on the phone or that I hang out with all the time. I don't have a best friend. I have good friends, but I don't necessarily have a best friend. I think I'm my own best friend at this point.
You got that. How do sex and relationships change for you as you've grown older?
The biggest thing for me that I've found that's changed is I'm in charge of my sexual pleasure. As a woman, I don't sleep with men for their benefit. If I'm sleeping with you, it has to be reciprocal and it has to be beneficial to me. And when I say beneficial, I mean like it has to be something that I enjoy. It has to be something that I feel fulfilled in, because if I don't, I'm not going to do it. So like if I sleep with you and you're not a generous lover, you're not a reciprocal lover, if you're not a lover who actually listens to me and tries to be in tune with my body and is not about pleasuring me, I'm not going to be pleasuring you. And we probably won't be having that again. And I'm serious about that, because I feel like a lot of young women, especially like when you're really young, you're so worried about like how you look. So you get in bed and you want to sleep with them a certain way and you want to make sure that you don't have this hanging. So I'm going to make sure that, you know, I want to be on top, because if I lay this way, my boobs are going to hang this way. And I like, there's so much self-talk that young women have. And it's like, well, I don't really want to tell him that I want him to do this or this, because what if he thinks this? Now, I don't have that. If it's something that makes me feel good and I want you to do it, I'm going to ask you to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then that's okay. But for me, I'm like, if it's not a kid, if it's not an old person, if it's not an animal, you do what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's all about what makes you feel good. And if it's something you're uncomfortable with, that's a different thing. But if it's just about like being open to pleasing the person that you're with, I think that, you know, that's something that as we get older, we really need to, especially as women, we got to start looking into that. You know what I mean? If you want somebody to pleasure you with a toy or whatever, or however you want it, like that has to be on the table, because I feel like older women in my category have grown up with such stigmas against sex and so many body shaming things about sex, and they're not body positive about their own bodies, and they want the light off, and you know, I got a stretch mark here and I have cellulite here and I don't want. None of that shit matters. Like whether it's a heterosexual relationship or, you know, whatever, bi, gay, whatever. The person that you with should absolutely want to be with you. They should love every single inch and part of your body, however it looks. You know what I mean? So there should be no hangups. You know what I mean? And that's when you have the best sex, when you literally free your mind and you don't have hangups. So whoever I'm with, we're going to have great, passionate, imaginative sex, because that's what I want. That's what I deserve.
Wow. Can you stop that for a minute? So how old are you now?
55.
How do you feel about being 55?
You know what I feel? I don't feel, other than body issues that just happen with age.
Yeah.
Mentally, I don't feel any different than I did at like, probably 35 or 40, other than I can tell I've grown. Do you know what I mean? I definitely see the growth in me as I've gotten older, but I still feel like when I'm around, like my son's friends, my son is 24. When I'm around his friends, I mean, I can definitely tell that, they're kids, but like, I don't feel like if we went to a concert together, like I'm going to Beyonce this year.
Yeah.
I don't feel like when I'm going to be at the Beyonce concert, I'm going to be like the old lady out of place. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like that. I don't know how other people see me, but I don't see myself like that. So, I just do my own thing. I do what I feel is like age appropriate for me, because what's age appropriate for me might not be what's age appropriate for you, even if we're the same age. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Has your libido changed as you've gotten older? Like, did menopause blow you away?
You know what? Menopause is definitely kicking my ass, but in a different way. My libido is stronger than ever, which is actually like an issue, because I'm now the most sexual and at my peak, more so than I've ever been in my life.
Woo!
And it's difficult to find someone that actually can keep up with me. Like, and I find that I'm sleeping, like my partners are learning a lot from me.
Yeah.
And at my age, I still want to be learning from them, or I still want to be exploring and doing new things with them, but it's like kind of the opposite. So, I got to work on that.
That's a good one. So menopause is kicking your ass in other ways.
Menopause is definitely kicking my ass in other ways. Like, menopause is like the thing that I think now, like in the past like 2 years, for whatever reason, menopause is like the clickbait. And so now there's all these different things and people that are like talking about it. And that's good. But I mean, I think that they're talking about it somewhat in a way that's kind of superficial, when like menopause is more than like the TV stuff where you stick your head in the freezer. Like, hot flashes are definitely a thing, but there's so much more. There's incontinence, there's loss of sleep, there's like fogginess in your brain, there's like mood swings, there's irrational bleeding, there's your bones and your joints ache, there's inflammation, there's so much, many things that people don't tell you about. And when you're going through them, it doesn't click to you that that's menopause. Those mood swings, and you not being able to sleep, and you're waking up in like a huge, like just like night sweats, and hot to cold, and just like, so all of that, like my joints hurt. I never had a problem with my joints. Weight gain, I've never had a weight problem. Like, all those things, I'm like, what the hell is happening? And it's menopause.
But you still want to fuck.
I still want to have sex. And like, some of my girlfriends, they don't want to have sex. That's another thing. It's different for everybody. Like, some people experience vaginal dryness. I, however, are like a waterfall. I'm blessed in that way. But for some women, they don't even want to have sex, and sex hurts. So that's another thing that, like, they don't tell you about. Like, I guess for some people, sex is painful. So,
not your issue. Good.
Everybody wants to come to
Oh, yes, they did. All right, I have one more question for you, because you've been amazing. Wow. You became a model in the 90s?
Yeah, I started modeling. Make a long story short, when I was in college, a friend of mine submitted my picture to Essence magazine. They were having a 25th anniversary cover model search. And she literally filled out the application, put it in the mail, had taken pictures of me at, like, we would do school fashion shows in college. So that was like my extent of modeling, and that was just because I was tall and, thin. And they called me, and they were like, oh, you're like not a finalist, but you're like a finalist for your region. I was like, what are you talking about? And so my friend told me, she's like, oh, Sheryl, I put you in this contest. So I ended up doing it, and I won the region. Then I came to New York, and I didn't win, but a lot of modeling agencies wanted to sign me. But I was in college, so my mother was like, I'm no black women model, and I don't think there's money in that, so you need to finish school. You're on a scholarship. Came back, finished, worked for like 6 months, and then every place I would go in Dallas, people would say, are you a model? Are you a model? And I was like, no. but people kept giving me cards for this one agency that was a big agency. So finally one day I was like, let me go in. So I called, made an appointment, went in, and that's how I started modeling. It was really just like kind of like a fluke, but my friend putting me in that contest planted the seed kind of in the back of my mind, like I could do it. You know what I mean? I've already, you know, I went to New York and people said they were interested, so I think I could do it. And then that's kind of.
And the dream got bigger and bigger. You kind of kicked ass.
I did. I had a good career, but it wasn't even, I don't even know if it was a dream. It was just like something that I started doing. And because I'm the type of person, whatever I do, I want to apply myself. When I saw an inkling of maybe I could be successful, it gave me the drive to continue. And it also really made me want to do it more so to, in a way, prove people wrong about me.
Yeah.
Because I was never like the attractive girl growing up. I was never like, you know, like I was like always like the nerdy tomboy athlete, not pretty, you know, no boys ever wanted to talk to me. So in a way it was kind of like, I want to be a model because I want to be on a magazine cover, because I want to show you guys that, you know, chocolate girls, you know, skinny girls, whatever, are just as pretty. Like, you know what I mean? In that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Such a good story. All right, we can do it. That's good, right? Yeah. I told you, this woman delivers.
I feel like if we're still taping, right?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna tape. We just took a break.
Okay. No, because I was just like.
Do you believe in an open relationship with a lover?
You know what? I'm going to be honest, and people might like think this is crazy, but I, at my age right now, yes.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like you have to do what works for you.
Yes.
So I think that you have to be honest, and I think that, you know, you have to not sneak around or whatever, but I think you have to be honest about what it is you want and what you need in a relationship.
Yeah.
So, you know, at a woman my age might be with a man who's in my age bracket, and he might not be have the sexual stamina that I do.
Yeah.
Like I could have sex every day if I had the time, versus I might be with a guy who's like, yeah, my libido is not that. They might love me and they might want to be with me, but they might only want to have sex once a week or once a month. That's not going to work for me. So I'm going to have to be honest and say that, like, I want to be with you and I really like being with you. So, you know, hopefully we can, you know, have a relationship where we do things together, you know, and we enjoy each other's company. But sexually, I need to be fulfilled a different place. Or, you know, maybe it's a person that, you know, you want to travel with, and someone has a really hectic job and they are unable to travel. So you might have somebody that you travel with. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, because I think we get pleasure from different things.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not sexual stimulation. It might be mental stimulation that you're really wanting. So I think you have to kind of figure out what works for you. But I think the older I get, I see the gray. When I was young, it was very black and white. I'm with you, you're with me, you better not cheat. If you cheat, I'm gonna leave you. When I'm like, if you think about it, kids, like, literally, what guy in his 20s not gonna cheat? Like, there's free vagina out there everywhere. Like, so they should be out there exploring it to see which kind they want, you know what I mean? Or what they want, or what's important. I tell my son all the time, like, being like one person in your early 20s is like ridiculous.
Yes.
To me.
Yes.
But you do want to be moving towards that, especially as women, because we do have a biological clock. So you have to kind of look at that. But I mean, I think that, like, especially in my age group, no, you have to kind of do what works for you. And if it means having more than one lover or more than one friend, or friends with grown relationships, it's whatever you need.
I love that. Did you get that? Great. Do you think there's a difference between a climax and an orgasm?
I think that you can feel pleasure and it's different than a true orgasm. I think that women sometimes are not really as familiar with their bodies as we think we are. So sometimes I think that, you know, because something feels good, we think that we're orgasming, and we are not necessarily orgasming, because there's a process of fluids that are going to be coming out, and there's a more intense feeling when you really are having a true orgasm. That, to me, I'm not an expert, although I've had a lot of sex, that's a little different than a climax. that's just me. Like, you know, a lot of times when a guy has an
yeah.
orgasm because there's fluid coming out. But I think like with women, we can have different plateaus. Like we can have many climaxes, and then we can have that big orgasm.
Yeah.
Or we may be a woman who's able to have multiple orgasms or squirt or, you know, different things. Like it just depends on your body.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
About this. I have a power move in the morning. I get up and I put on my lipstick. Do you have a power move? It's crazy, but it's my red lipstick goes on.
Well, when I get up in the morning, I'm usually stiff because I'm getting up there. So the first thing I always have to do is I have this spray, and it's like an aromatherapy spray. So I do the spray, I take in really deep breaths, and I do a little stretch. But my power move for when I go out, like into the world, like outside of my house, is I always make sure that I have on at least one piece in my wardrobe that really brings me a lot of joy. I really try to, even when I'm super casual, like if I'm just running out to get coffee and I have on like my sweats, I'll put on a dope pair of sneakers, or I'll throw over like my favorite coat, even if it's a fancy coat, could be a fur. Yes. I don't care. You know what I mean? It just has to be like something that really like makes me like feel good about myself. You know what I mean? And that's what my wardrobe does. For some people, they don't care about fashion, and that's fine too. It could be something else, like you put on your red lipstick. Like, I'm not that big of a makeup person, but if I get up and I go out, I just need to have on something that makes me feel good.
Oh, that so leads
something that makes me feel put together. Like lipstick brings it, makes you feel put together. Yeah, I need that one piece.
Yeah. What are you the most proud of in your life?
I am the most proud of my resiliency. Yeah, I'm a very resilient person. I don't give up. I have a lot of tenacity. I have a lot of perseverance. There's a lot of shit that I don't know. I just figure it out. And even sometimes when I don't figure out, I just power through it anyway. Yeah. And I'm really happy that as I've gotten older, I've learned to say no when I need to say no. And I've learned to say yes, even when I'm not sure.
And where do you think that came from with you?
I think it came from as I've gotten older, I'm like, fuck it. What do I have to lose? Nothing.
Yeah. And then I'm going to ask about your career. Was it a choice from, let's get back. So you left modeling to become an actor. And how did that go?
Well, that's not quite true. I was always modeling, and then I started doing some acting, and I tried to, once I started acting, I realized I didn't enjoy it. So I continued to do like commercial acting. So I did a lot of commercials and a lot of industrials and a lot of short films. But I realized early on that I did not want to do any like drama, episodic work. Like I didn't want to be sitting in a trailer for 12 hours a day and like doing that kind of stuff. I wanted to be out living life. So I could do a commercial or do like a short film or something like that. It's like a couple of days. Yeah. But it's not like every day for months and months and months. Like that wasn't me.
But you almost got an opportunity to work in a film?
Yeah, I mean, I got cast in a few things, and then they either never came out or like certain things. But I did a few little things, but I did mostly commercials. I've done probably like about 220 different commercials, industrials, that kind of stuff.
And here you are owning this fabulous little store.
Now I have my little boutique. That's what it is. My vintage and designer resale. I'm definitely into sustainability and uniqueness. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah. And you've been written up everywhere, so it's a good moment.
It's good. I mean, I feel like because I'm not like a Gen Z, Gen X, millennial, that kind of thing, it's been like a challenge, but I feel happy and proud that all of the press that I've gotten has been like very organic. It's not stuff that I don't seek it out because I don't have a publicist. I just just people that come in or find out about me, and so that makes me happy. And hopefully it'll be more.
All right. Well, there'll be more. All right. I'm just looking through this because you could be 30 again and know what you know now. What would you have changed?
Let's see. If I could be 30 again and know what I know now, I would literally just listen to my intuition and my gut. All the things that I didn't listen to and pay attention to then, I feel like, wow, if I had just believed in myself a little bit more and trusted my instinct, how much further I would be. That's the biggest thing.
Remember that, girl. Why New York? Why are you still here in New York?
Oh, there's no place like New York. There's no place like Brooklyn. There's no place that I would rather live. If I hit the lottery, like literally tomorrow, I would still live in Brooklyn. I would just fix my house up and make it like the dopest house that I would want. Not necessarily fancy, but just like what I want. And I would still live in Brooklyn because it has like the most unique flavor and the people and the culture, and like a depth and a soul. And I love it. There's not really any other place as far as like in America that I would want to live other than Brooklyn.
Because I live in the West Village now, and it has really become financial kids heaven. These are all cute blondes with ponytails.
It's gentrified, and Bed-Stuy is quickly gentrifying. But even with that, I feel like there's just so much culture and there's so much diversity, and like there's no other place that I walk the streets and I'm inspired as much as Brooklyn. Like no place else. Even in Paris, and I know Paris is like really like fashion. I've never been to Japan, so I've heard that that's like really fabulous, but like not about a labeled fashion, literally about like you'll walk down the street in Brooklyn and you see people and the way that they put things together, it's literally like they put a trash bag on and it's just like, oh, but it's so fabulous. You know what I mean? It's just, and that inspires me. So I'm a visual person, so it's just something that I like I love the food, and I love the fashion and the history and the culture. Like there's really no other place that I want to live. But I will say that America has some fucked up politics, and so if I have to move, it'll be out of the country.
Yes, I'm with you.